5, 4.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. الله الله Welcome to the utmost presentation of the teachings of Islam. Striving to bring Islam into your homes, bringing Islam into the corners of Guyana, and to inspire others to take it to the corners of Allah's earth. And now our messages move far and wide through Facebook and through Instagram and even through YouTube. Check, tell your family and friends, wherever they may be. The Electric Mosque's presentation of the teachings of Islam by Haji Roshan Khan, or Teachings of Islam by Haji Roshan Khan, Guyana. Teachings of Islam, Guyana, by Haji Roshan Khan. And let us spread the beautiful word and the teachings of Islam, the message of unity and peace, the message of love and universal harmony to all mankind, to inspire Muslims to more and better and greater peace, to inspire non-Muslims to use the medium of electricity and also to work for the cause of universal harmony and peace. My beloved brothers and sisters, I begin in the name of God Almighty, the most gracious, the most merciful. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. And I seek refuge from the evils of Satan. As I begin in the name of God Almighty, the most gracious, the most merciful, I bear witness and testify to the fact that there is but one and only one God, Allah, in the Arabic language, and I bear witness and testify that Muhammad is the seal of prophet and the last and final messenger of God Almighty. Last week, and maybe the week before, with some repeats, we were talking about Surah Baqarah, or the cow, and we finished a section, Perfect Guidance is Only in Islam. And we were now coming up to the covenant with Abraham. I hope to talk to you for about 20 minutes and then to speak to you on some local, important, social, educative commentaries, politics, and some local education. The Holy Quran, as you may know, speaks glowingly of the patriarch Prophet Abraham. And the Muslims, as I have told you before, and you may have read or heard from other speakers on who articulates on Islam, or articulated on Islam, would have told you that the reason why the Muslims are so close to the Prophet Abraham more than any other Judeo-Christian religions, that it includes, Judeo-Christian religions are the Jews, the Christians, the Muslims. But we are more attached to Abraham than any other religion, whilst they will give certain snippets of recognition to him. The reason being that we fulfill the command of God Almighty, that the dedication of the Prophet Abraham, the willingness to sacrifice his son, because it is the will of God, and because he thought it was the commandment of God Almighty, and that we must observe this sacrifice annually. And I wish to make it quite clear, we are the only people in the world who observe this. And whatever meat is gathered from those sacrifices are given to those in need, some to your family and friends, and most of it goes to the needy and the hungry. But it is not the blood and not the flesh that reaches God Almighty, but submission to the will of God, fulfillment of his commands. And this is the righteous thing for Muslims to do. This is why we are so close to him. I must also at this juncture, because you may hear the word Ishmael and the Ishmaelites, and I know I've explained these things in the past. The Jews, and I do not speak of Jews derogatorily. Some Muslims like to do that. And some Jews like to speak derogatorily of the Christians and Christ and of Muslims. I speak glowingly of the Judeo-Christian religions and of all religions and of all humanity, for they are all beautiful, and God had reasons why he sent certain religions and certain teachings and certain prophets to certain countries, in the same way he sent certain kind of animals and birds and which are indigenous to the country, the same kind of people to a particular nation, the same way a certain kind of revelation came to them. Even though I believe also in the progression of religion and revelation. Now, there is a controversy with the Jews and the Muslims, and I'm not saying derogatorily again. And the Christians will take it from the Jews and support that Isaac was the sacrifice of Abraham. And they would say that Isaac was born out of wedlock and that Ishmael was born out of wedlock, and so he couldn't have been the one to sacrifice, or the sacrificing lamb. That Abraham thought, I'm not saying that was the command of God, he thought, he misunderstood what God was telling him. There is a greater sacrifice. There is the junior sacrifice, and there is the senior or the greater sacrifice. And I've dealt with these things in the past, but times and so on, new generation, young people growing up, it sometimes is necessary to recapitulate, to repeat, or to remind people what is the lesson, the greater sacrifice. So the lesser sacrifice was the understanding that he had to sacrifice his son. Sacrifice that which you love the most. And when he calculated, it was his son that he loved the most. Now tell me something. If you have had a child, you and I, you here in the Electric Mosque's presentation of the teachings of Islam, you with me here, and you out there in TV land, looking at me through the medium of electricity and this, the Electric Mosque's teachings of Islam, you tell me, your wife could not have had a child, and then God promised a child, and the permission was granted for Abraham to go into the, not slave, some people say slave, maid servant. It was like a lady in waiting, a supporter and assistant to the queen, because Sarah was a queen of Abraham, because he was like the king of his tribe and his people and his nation. And Hagar, or the Hajar, her real name was H-A-J-J-A-R, Hajar, from which the word of Hajj originates. Please call your family and friends, Christians, Jews and Muslims and non-Muslims, so you can understand what I'm dilating on here. Hajar come from the wife of Abraham, and I say wife, yes, who was an African woman, an African princess that was given unto Abraham for protection and as a gift, as a lady in waiting, because of wars that was taking place in Africa, and in this case Egypt. And a lot of people forget that Egypt is in Africa, and they make it look like it comes from Arabia. They make it look like it comes from the Mediterranean, but in the reality, Africa is Egypt. Egypt is Africa. Now, so she was the lady in waiting, being close to the queen, and only persons of that caliber who were trained can work with the first lady or with a queen or her majesty. And that is why you can't go take a raw slave captured in the bush or kidnapped from some nation. You have to have special people to be with the queen, her majesty. Now, we all know Sarah could not have produced a child, because she would admit she was barren, and it was disturbing her, and the tribes were getting upset. They needed a heir for the revelations to continue, and for the leadership to continue, and to have the bloodline. Bloodline is very important in religions. Some people don't understand. They think it's all joke. And so what happened? Sarah agreed. Lady Sarah agreed and give permission. Maybe I can make a child through her. So going to her. It didn't mean the patriarch, the great prophet. You tell me, my evangelist Christian friends, do you all think there's great patriarch, a great prophet, father of mankind, and father of religions, father of the Judeo-Christian Islamic religions and nations, father of nations? Do you think that this great one, that he would go and rape this young lady and force himself upon her? No, she was given unto him and permission was sought, and she had to give permission for the relationship, and she was pleaded upon by Sarah, and he was the king, and obviously a young lady would be happy to be with the king and to make a heir for him. And that is where Ishmael came about. But unfortunately, and I'm not attacking the Jews, they are known to have always tried to kill their prophets, including Moses, including Abraham. And you know what happened with Jesus Christ and all the others. They always try to manipulate the revelations to suit themselves. And that's why they were, once they were blessed by God, they were also cursed by God. Because they keep on to break the rules, they keep on to divide and rule and conquer and manipulate, as they manipulated and caused the crucifixion of Jesus Christ and the beating that took place on him, in which he was purged wrongfully, in which Pontius Pilate said, I wash my hands, you the people, you, that is the people. And so they manipulate the scriptures to prove that Ishmael will be hunted and he will be hunted and he will hunt others and so on. But indeed, he grew up with his father. He was a Douglas kind of a guy. And we know Douglas, people, this mixed race, and I'm saying it complimentarily, as a stronger person. When you mix an Indian with an African, you produce a stronger person. You mix a horse with a donkey, you produce a stronger animal. And so forth. So you mix the white race with the African race, you produce a hybrid. And this is what happened to this boy. This boy was very dynamic. He was very strong. He was extremely pushy. He was a great hunter. Eventually, Sarah was blessed with a child for having allowed the fulfillment of God's decree for Ishmael to be born. For having allowed that. And now God blessed her in her old age, and when she mocked the angels when they came to her, she was astounded, and she produced a child. You can't tell me that you or I, in the leftmost teachings of Islam, here sitting with me, all of you here, and you out there, looking at me, and can actually touch me, that the Prophet Abraham, for having this boy for 14 years, I'm telling you, 14 years, and suddenly Ishmael will come out of the blues and he will dump. He will literally dump Ishmael for nothing. So just think of that. He had to have been close to this boy. And then Isaac, the younger one, I was only talking about it last night, where the younger one is always running behind the bigger one, sometimes even to the fatigue of the bigger one. It happened to me. And it's a form of love. So the little one is always running behind Ishmael, because Ishmael was dynamic and powerful, and the younger one is always looking up to him. Ishmael, Ishmael. And the Arabic and the Judaic pronunciation is Ishmael. Ishmael, Ishmael. And then the mother would get envious because everything was Ishmael, Ishmael, Ishmael. The father would always call upon Ishmael, and she started to feel jealous. But it was a whole part of the plan to start another nation. God likes to create in pairs. Adam, then he took a part of Adam and he made Eve. You have United States, you have Russia. You have Pepsi, you have Coca-Cola. So this is the reality. God generally likes to create in pairs, and so do mankind, who is the vicegerent, the representative of God on earth. So she became jealous and decided that she wants to create a division. This boy must go his way. And so she would complain and she would nag, and then God would speak to Sarah, and then God spoke to Abraham, and God said, I see the pain. You read it from the Bible and the Holy Quran. I can see the pain and the trauma in your heart, but I will make out of him many princes, and his seed will spread like the sands of the sea. And so forth and so forth, very similar to the Bible. And he was inspired to take them away into another land, into a far-off land, a land that's virtually abandoned. And he had to take them away and left them there. And he had to abandon them there. And she was in pain and said, why are you doing this to us? Why are you leaving us? Why are you doing this to your wife? I'm your wife, I'm your child, I'm your Haji, I'm the one that you have loved. I bore you your firstborn. And this is the story I told my wife. We were 2 months old with my last son, Roshan, A.C. Lal, my last baby son. When she had to leave him for 2 months to go with me, I told her this story, what this mother had to go through. And then she went with me. And he left him there with some bread and water, but he couldn't look into her face. And he's in a dark spot in a dark night. And he was traveling down to leave. And she stood up and she ran to him. How you leave us here in this wilderness? Maybe the lions will come. We will be destroyed. We'll die of starvation and water. And he stood up and he couldn't look at her because she was a beautiful princess, an African woman. And you want to see a beautiful woman, you have to see the women in Ethiopia, like the Queen of Sheba. You have to understand what kind of people they were. Very powerful, very beautiful physique, and cheekbones, and eyes. That's why King Solomon went crazy for the Queen of Sheba. So, what happened? Sarah looked in towards him, and he had his head bowed down like this, the holy patriarch, on his camel. And he was in pain, but he knew God promised him that protection for his family. And she said, did God Almighty tell you to do this? Tell me, are you doing this because you hate us or because of Sarah's jealousies? Are you doing this because you hate us? Are you doing this because we are black people? Are you doing this? And he loved them so much and he bowed and tears came pouring down his eyes. But he couldn't look into her beautiful face. He couldn't look into his beautiful, handsome son of mixed blood, that dark-skinned powerhouse called Ishmael. He couldn't look at them and his heart was in pain. And he was murmuring all the time, praying. And I want to give you some of those words, and tears are gathering in my eyes. And Sarah said, did Allah tell you to do this? Did you get permission from Allah? And then he shook his head and he said, yes. He went like this, and he wore a shawl like this, and an outfit something almost similar to this, and covered for the sun, to protect himself from the sun and the cold. And he went like this. And he went like this. And he would turn towards her and he would raise his face, but he couldn't look into her beautiful eyes. And he would turn again the other side and he couldn't face his son. And his son was there looking at him and hungry and wondering, Daddy, are you going to leave me here? Are you going to abandon me, your firstborn, your hunter, your gatherer of sticks and stones, your fighter in wars? You're going to abandon me, my daddy? Are you going to leave me alone here in this wilderness, in this darkness in Arabia? In the middle of the night? And he couldn't look at his son. And when Abraham went like this, Sarah felt a peace in her heart. That's Sarah, I beg your pardon. Hajar felt, or Hagar, a peace in her heart. And she accepted that God Almighty will protect them. That God Almighty will not abandon them. That God Almighty will be the watcher over them. And I wanted to finish at this end to go to discuss some other things, but I have to go on to get to the gist of it. And then he shook his head and he rode off in humility and then took off. By which time they were scared. They were looking out for animals and lions and in the desert, and they do have desert lions. And then the day came and it was getting hot. and the desert heat, and the little water they had was used out, and the piece of bread they had and the fruit they had was worked out. And the boy, even though he was tough and strong and handsome and such a beautiful kid, he started to fall, he started to faint, and the heat was getting to him. The mother, and this is why the Muslims, you Muslims, you have to go to make the Hajj. The Hajj is all about Abraham and Ishmael. You have to go to make the Hajj. Muslim people, make your intention now. Look into my eyes. And make your intention. If you don't have the money, make your intention. So if you die before you could make it, it would be as if you had gone. This is the beauty and the glory of Islam. All Muslims, look at each other. Make your intention to go to the Hajj. And those of you who could go to the Umrah, which is a holy holiday, it also has everything to do with Abraham and Ishmael, and to a certain extent with Muhammad and whom be peace. But it's all about Abraham and Ishmael. The Kaaba Sharif, that special building, everything is about this. And the boy started to faint, and he collapsed, and his mother was going mad. And you know the power of a mother. Imagine your child, if he wants something to eat, will you give him a snake? Will you give him a lizard? Will you give him a bunch of sand? If you could have busted your finger and give him to drink some of your blood, oh mother, wouldn't you do that? Oh great woman, oh great mother, only you have the heart to create mankind. Only you, mother, have the soul and the womb to create life. How would you feel that your child is dying for want of water? And Marie, how would you feel that your child is dying for want of water you can't give her? You will suffer. She's saying she will suffer. She wouldn't know what to, she will go mad. She probably will die first. And the spot in Mecca now where she ran, she started to walk up and down, and in a part she would hop. They have it marked out in green lights. You can see the spot in green lights. They have enclosed it in air conditioning to help the old people from the two mountains, the Safa and the Marwa. The two mountains she was running between, and she was looking for water, and she was hopping certain parts because she was running. We have to hop at that spot. You people who have not gone to the Hajj, you don't understand the power and the beauty and the emotions of the Hajj, the Mecca, the pilgrimage, or even if you go for the Umrah, to do the tawaf around the Kaaba, to do that same, even at the Umrah you have to do it. Where he got hopped and hopped and hopped and hopped, and the boy collapsed. And she was running up and down and frantic, and she fell down. And the beautiful child, calling the name of Allah, or the name of God, or Yahweh, or Elohim, calling on this great Lord, creator of the world, who told the father to leave them there. And the mother was now collapsing, seeing the pain of her son. And the boy started to kick the sand. He started to kick the sand. And he would kick that sand as he was like dying. And by the miracle of Allah, some water started to sprout from the spot of his foot. Some water started to sprout. And it sprouted and it gushed into the air. And this is what God will do for all of us in all our trouble, in all our trauma, in all our pains. God Almighty will always be there for us. When you think mankind will destroy you, when you think people are going to hate you and they will envy you, and they will try to wipe your life away from you, you must know that God Almighty will come to the aid of his servants and the righteous ones. And the water bursted out, and they drank, and it was the sweetest water. And that pipe, that spring, that divine piping of water through the bowels of the earth, my beloved brothers and sisters and friends, the water runs to this day. Many said they will put it into their eyes and they will regain their hearing. They will drink it and will cure their diseases. They will throw it on their body and their skin disease will heal. Till today that well is running, and today they have put it in certain places to get the water so that the pilgrims could get the holy water sent by God to save his servant Ishmael, and the famous and the great mother of nations, Hajar, that great black woman of Egypt, Africa. For you Christian brothers who don't know this, lament on this a little bit and don't talk down on it, because sometimes, because of the influence of the other religion, the mother religion, Judaism, Christianity and Islam, sometimes you get carried away. And in fact, that is proven that some aspects and many parts of the Bible were manipulated by kings like King James and others to suit their political purposes. The same thing for the people of the Jews, like Caiaphas of the Sanhedrin, who was responsible for the crucifixion of Christ. You, the Christians here, are not responsible for that. It was Caiaphas and his Jewish people that he manipulated, and not all the Jewish people. Many of them were in love with Christ and they followed him and they honored him. So remember this, my brothers and sisters. This is the story I wish to tell you. I cannot read from the Quran, the time is no longer there, but I was coming what is called covenant with Abraham. The covenant with Abraham was a contract with God in which he promised certain benefits and facilities to Abraham for the nations, and in this case for the Muslims, the Arabs, the children of Ishmael. And a lot of things that's going on in the Arab world that we do not like is because of historical manipulation of political and geopolitical politics, and so some of them are very bad and we cannot look at them for guidance. But the fact is, they are a great nation and they came from the seed of Abraham, and there's some great and righteous ones and holy and good ones. And the Hajj, please remember, repeat after me, the Hajj is named after an African woman named Hajar. An African woman, Hajar, remember that. The Hajj is named after an African woman. Feel proud. And now that you've known the truth, those who do not know, and spread the word, and spread peace, and love, and harmony. My brothers and sisters, I had another part I wanted you to read. I thought it would be maybe in tomorrow's chronicle. Let us try and honor and respect women by me in the Stabrook of Friday, August 21st. Friday, August 21st. If you have the internet subscription for the Stabrook, you can probably check it out. But it'll be tomorrow in Chronicle. Help me to understand the part of the poetry with cruelty to women by me, written in 2012. It is a poetic form of cruelty to women, very dynamic, dramatic poetry. And then the part with this letter appeal to the government of Guyana and the people to treat women with dignity and honor. I'm speaking of Guyana. I'm worried. 5 quarantine men fined $7,500. $7,500 for drunk driving. What does that do, my brothers and sisters? All over we are reading of drunk driving. And we have a mixed gathering here. And sometimes it's mostly Indians. Well, actually here it's mostly Indians. O'Neill, Suknandan, Harinarayan Bem, Rajendra Bishesar, Hamilal Deo Hilbaran, and Lancelot Sandy. You're spending your money risking to kill people and destroy your life. Somebody just went to jail, and possibly 20, 30, 50 years jail, 74 years jail for killing people. Consuming alcohol, spending your money, damaging your body. Then you become useless as a husband to your wife. You affect your health, and then you're enriching other people by buying their alcohol, and you are getting hooked, and they are not drinking the stuff. I have told Patriarch Abraham, former president, in a letter to him, and in a conversation, and published in the media, to seize Mr. President of Guyana. I know sometimes you look at my program. Mr. Prime Minister and cabinet members, change the law. Anyone found under the influence of alcohol, car to be seized in the name of the government. Suspended for 10 years. After 3 years, they can appeal to drive between 8 and 4, when they can only earn a living. Other than that, every day they got to submit their license to the police station and uplift it in the morning for 10 years. Like what they're doing, some aspects of that is being done in North American cities, including New York. There are so many other things I wanted to tell you, but time is upon me. And my operator is telling me, time to wrap up. So brothers and sisters, let us spread the word. Let us work with our country, the government of the day. We as professionals must work with the government of the day. Work with the police department. Work to enhance Guyana. This is our country. We cannot sabotage its development and affect our people. I will work with the government of the day. And so can you. Even if you're an opposition element. The opposition has said they will do it too. They will work with the government of the day, but they want certain criteria fulfilled. But they will work with the government of the day. So what? Why can't you and I, as the citizens of this country, can't work with the government of the day? May the peace, may the mercy, may the blessings of God Almighty be with one and all. I thank you. Assalamu alaikum. And some of you say that you like to come and touch my fingers, so please come and do. Those of you who like to touch my fingers, touch it. Touch it. And put your head there so I can bless you by the power of God. I do nothing, but in all the energy and all the power and all the healing, as some of you say happens, I don't know, then it's from God. So I bless the nation Guyana with healing and peace. Assalamu alaikum.